Thanks, Shane, and welcome back to another slice of the good, the bad, and the orange. Today, I have two more esteemed colleagues. I have the April Mock, selling at Mock speed because people have trouble spelling her name, and she's Jimmy John's fast.
That's right.
And Ryan Rybarczyk, who is the most diligent agent I think I've ever met in my life, retired Navy, and highly knowledgeable. So today we're going to cover a couple of questions. And the first one we're going to lead into is property taxes. On our Moving to AZ Facebook group, that is another one of the many asked questions. And people moving in from around different parts of the country are usually paying substantially higher property taxes than here. And also the times when they're due and how they're calculated is different with every state. So Ryan is, as he said, a high-level expert, meaning in a more of a macro knowledge of taxes. So tell us a little bit about property taxes in Arizona.
So, like Benjamin Franklin said, there's two guarantees in life: death and taxes. And so we're going to talk a little bit, obviously about the taxes. The luxury we have living in Arizona is that we have one of the lowest tax rates in the country. So when I'm working with clients and they're coming here and they're saying, is this what we pay a month in property tax? I'm like, no, that's what you pay a year in property tax. And so they're just kind of dumbfounded by that because the property tax, the rate is actually, part of the purchasing decision of what they can afford per month. So the other good thing right now that Maricopa County has done is they've lowered their tax rate again for the second time in a row. So in June of this year, Maricopa County had dropped their tax rate from 1.3% down to 1.25%. So what does that really mean? It means that you're gonna start saving a little bit more money per month on your mortgage payment. Why did we do that? Well, a couple things. One, kind of curb inflation a little bit. Okay, so the county saw that inflation is rising in Arizona. What can we do to kind of curb that a bit? Two, the tax base is rising. So there's a lot of people moving here. We've got about 300 people moving here per day. A lot of new construction. Home prices are going up. So we are in a position to where we can actually cut the rate and still increase the revenue. Brilliant, right? I mean, so
It is, and the other part of that is not just the residential, but a lot of it's driven by commercial growth.
Right.
And tax base for many municipalities, their main revenue source is commercial tax. So that is true. And of course, that will allow us to buy one extra tank.
People will say, well, why is it the lowest? Because, Scottsdale is a destination. It's a luxury destination market, and they get a lot of revenue from the hospitality tax.
The whole state, that's really kind of where we come in.
Right,
and benefit.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Well, and that's true. And so, when you go rent a car, and it costs $9 a day to rent the car, and the tax is $97 a day, understand where they're getting their revenue. And that's actually it's crazy, but that's how it is. When they break the taxes down, they've decided that if you want to come here, you're going to pay the price, and so that's what makes these destinations or these cities a great place to live, because there always will be people coming here as a destination, golfing or hiking or whatever that is, and they're footing the bill.
And the other good thing is that you can actually see your taxes at work, because you see it in the infrastructure. I mean, the roads are impeccably maintained, the highways are clean, the services, police, fire, ambulance, they're spot on, and I mean it's really good to see your money at work. And so you're like, okay, I'm here in the Sun Belt, as we call it, and home prices have appreciated significantly over the last 3 or 4 years, and now I'm getting a reduction in my taxes. So
it's unheard of compared to other parts of the country,
right.
Where
the tax base is leaving, and they keep raising taxes
well,
for the few that stay.
And one of the things they said is we had such a surplus that they could have spent it, and that's what happens a lot of across the country here. That we got a surplus, how are we going to spend it? They're not giving it all back, but at least they're giving some of it back. And like you said, their long range planning on infrastructure shows everywhere you go. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, and think about fine arts. I mean, you look at Scottsdale, they have, when you go to downtown or Old Town Scottsdale, I mean, they've got their fine arts center, they've got, all these attractions that are really high level. Talk about the parks and the preserve that is set aside land for hiking. I mean, it's a whole different perspective on spending public dollars in Arizona, and that hasn't happened overnight. That
Right.
started way a long time ago when it was wagon wheels and
I do. I think that they are very conscientious of making sure that they keep everything at a balance. So everything that are bringing people to want to come and have vacation in our state or move to our state, they're making sure that they're not erasing all of that and just taking money to override all of the other things that we love. So we
Right.
appreciate that.
Right.
what else we got on? What else? Any other thoughts on property taxes?
Just that I'm glad that we live in Arizona,
Right.
especially after the price decrease,
Right,
So
exactly.
it's
And
exciting.
and just kind of for the audience, that we're talking to, that they're moving to Arizona, it's kind of like, well, how are taxes assessed and how are they, how do you pay your taxes, stuff like that. So one, most people are going to pay their taxes, it's in their mortgage, PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So it's usually all one lump sum. And January 1st of every year, the taxes from the previous year are assessed, and then in August you get the tax bill rates are set as well too. So in Arizona we pay our taxes twice a year, on October 1st and March 1st. There's an acronym, I'm sure all of us went to real estate school, it's called Oh No More Money. And it stands for October, November, March, and May. So October, October 1st, your taxes are due. November 1st, they're delinquent. March 1st, they're due for the second half. And then May 1st, they're delinquent. So everything is paid in arrears. So you kind of look back, and that's how everything is calculated and how you're assessed and how you're
And
responsible.
that's so interesting. So when we put in a
Paid for.
listing into the MLS system, and we pull up the tax records, that the lag on that feels unnatural. I mean,
Right.
we're still quoting 2021 taxes because of them being paid in arrears.
Right.
And that also comes down to when you're closing on a house, right? Sellers might not understand why all of a sudden, why am I being charged this certain amount for taxes? I've just sold my home.
Right.
So knowing that it's paid in arrears and why a buyer is getting the credit for that amount that the seller lived in the home is important.
Correct. And naturally, the county will take your money in one lump sum as well if you want to just pay it all off.
I'd be happy to. Always happy to do that. Well, if you have other questions on taxes, we're no tax experts, but think of us as the source for the source. Leave a comment, and we will do our best to guide you to in the right direction. So, one of the other things that people talk about, I think it's many things. It's the misnomers about moving to Arizona. And we're not going to dive into it right now, but I think the first one is there's no water. Mud's going to come out of my faucet.
I got
There, we got
half
water.
glass full.
Yes, half full. See, that's a positive attitude. And there's others misnomers, and we could probably do 10 podcasts on the misnomers of moving to Arizona. But I think there's a few that we see as common questions, and at first you kind of chuckle, but you got to think about it. You're moving from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Which we all did.
We all
of
did, yeah.
us came from
We all
a different
came,
state.
especially
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
the miserable cold. We're here in the desert, and we are baffled by what we see. So, April, what are some of those that you see?
Yeah, so we have that moving to Arizona page, and we
Yep.
see a lot of the same, comments or questions come up, but it's also ones that I have with my buyers when I'm going out, right? So they're really worried about, for instance, one of the big things is pests. So are these scorpions going to be living in the house with me? What do these snakes look like? I saw this weird pig walking down, the road.
Should I go pet them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what the heck is that? And you have to kind of talk to them and let them know that a lot of these pests and things that you hear are portrayed in movies that we see
Right.
from other states, that it's not really that scary, especially when you live in the metropolitan area, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we have pest control that comes out on a regular basis. I mean, I have seen a few scorpions. When I first moved into my house, I actually was stung by one. I was walking around in the dark, hadn't
Been
been
there.
treated yet.
Yeah, been there.
It's a little bit of a electric shock, you know, is what it feels like, and a little burning sensation.
Shocking.
So it was a little shocking, and pleasantly surprised that that's all. I think I had a wasp sting that hurt more than
Yeah.
the scorpion that I stepped on, but. With pest control, it's nothing that you're really going to be worrying about.
And one of the things that when we're under contract, we're doing our inspection, I tell everybody, yeah, you're going to get a termite inspection.
Yes.
And they're like, termites? And I'm like, yeah, just termite inspection. And it's like, and I'm like, there's two types of homes in Arizona: those with termites and those that are going to get termites. It's not the same type of termite that we're used to back in the Midwest or the East Coast, where it just absolutely destroys your house. It has the ability to do it, but it's not as fast moving. So
Right.
if there is a history of termites, that's fine. If it's treated, that's great. That's why we have that inspection done. So you're during the due diligence process, we understand.
Well, and the termites here are a little, I mean, it was weird the first time that I had noticed once too, that they're subterranean, right? So
Yeah.
they travel underground in these tunnels, and they get around to the houses that way. And I actually noticed it looked like the end of a cigarette, ash off of the end of
Yeah.
a cigarette coming
Right, little
out,
tubes.
little
It's a tube,
tubes
yeah.
coming out of the wall. And I thought, is that dust on my wall? What is that? I just cleaned, and another one popped up, and doing my research, I realized, oh my gosh, these are termites, and not a big deal when,
Yeah.
when they came out.
And
to
they don't treat inside the house, they
Right.
treat outside the house because
Yep.
they're subterranean,
Yes.
and then that remedies a
Yeah.
problem.
Well, and what is that? The lesson is, so we roll our eyes sometimes at home inspectors, so they go, the grade is above the sill plate in the house, but they're attracted to moisture.
Right.
So, don't let the branches touch your house.
Mhm.
Don't pile the dirt up on your house. Don't let your sprinklers spray on the house, because that's the environment for them to come in and and live and kind of enjoy your house from the underside. But the other one I think that to me is always a little, people have a misconception about it, is tarantulas.
Yes.
Mm.
So they're big fuzzy spiders, and in movies it's the horror story, the big tarantula, but they're actually one of the best insects we have, because they eat so many bad things. I mean, they're out there cleaning up they eat scorpions and other bugs and rodents, and so when you see one, just take a picture with them. They like their selfies taken.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't really want to be bothered. Is kind of
Yeah.
it. So
They're docile.
we've got a couple of them that kind of roam around our backyard, and we'll see them, and we just take a picture, and and enjoy the wildlife. I mean, it's very intriguing, especially when you've come from the Midwest, where spiders are different.
Yeah,
so.
daddy long legs.
Yeah,
That's about
exactly.
the extent of it.
Yeah.
You play with them and
Yeah.
put them in a jar.
And of course the javelinas, which everyone wants to
Javelinas.
see.
Yes,
which
they
is-
destroyed my front yard.
They
They
do
love
like
prickly
the
pear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what, the
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
succulents, anything that's got that moisture in it,
Yeah.
and you plant that in your front yard. So if you're moving here and you like those succulent plants, I would say put them behind in your backyard, not in your front yard. I have an actual very funny story about the javelinas. We have a huge pack that travels through our community at different times of the year, and my husband happened to leave the garage door open where we store our dog food. And our dog started going crazy, and he couldn't figure out why. And forgot he had left the garage door open. So it was like, oh, what's out in the garage? Is it a big boogeyman, right? To open the door, and there was a pack of javelinas that had gotten into our dog food and was tearing it up. And scared my husband to death, right? Slammed the door, was like, how am I going to fix this? And got a fly swatter, actually was trying to open the door enough to get one of them, and it just made him mad. So he hit the garage door, and that sound scared them, and they all
Well, they
shut
have
off.
poor eyesight,
Yeah.
so they have a strong sense of smell.
Yeah.
And so I've heard people say they've dropped their cat litter in their garbage. And the next day, the javelinas have gone in, knocked it over, eaten the cat litter
Yeah.
remnants. And you know, they're stinky.
Remnants.
They're stinky rodents,
Yes.
and they're very cute from a distance.
They
but
are.
They're very aggressive.
They can be,
And,
especially when they have their babies.
Yes.
So all it is to be mindful. If they have their babies around, give them a wide berth. But otherwise, it's great. I think it's amazing that we get to live in where, I know it's kind of scary to think about, but you know, you have the mountain lion that's, you know, roams around up here. You have some coyotes.
Bobcats.
Bobcats.
Owls.
Bobcats are amazing.
Yeah.
You see them and you learn to live with them. As long as you respect them, they're pretty good about giving us our space and respecting us.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Especially where we are now here in the northern part of Scottsdale with the foothills of the McDowell, the Sonoran Preserve and the McDowell Mountains. So it's for you to see all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And snakes.
And snakes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I was just trying to think if we had what other misnomers there are. One, you know, we don't get snow.
We don't. Well, different parts do.
We
So
do.
that was one thing I think in Arizona that we overlooked Flagstaff, and that the fact that we have a mountain that we could go up and ski in, and it's within driving distance
Yeah.
of where we live.
Well, I look at North Scottsdale and Carefree and how we can even get our annual dusting. And I know when I moved here 11 years ago, I said it was not in the brochure that there's
Right,
snow. I did
right.
not want snow. I moved away from snow. And everyone stops. Isn't it
Yeah.
fun? We get this big snow and everyone goes, oh, look at the snow. Let's
Yeah.
stop. Let's pull over. Let's take pictures. And I'm like,
Well, it's funny you mention that. When I drove out here from Ohio, I came out across the 40,
yeah.
and I got into Flagstaff, and I'm like, snow! I'm like, what the heck is this? This was not, like you said, not on the brochure. But I didn't realize that Flagstaff is, what, 10,000 feet above Metro Phoenix?
Yes.
Elevation-wise. So naturally, you've got the pine trees, and then all the other different, you know, types of plants, and then naturally you get snow. And you get snow not by the inch, but by the foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to get. Well, we're going to get 3 inches
Well,
tonight. You're going to get 4 feet tonight.
There's the snow bowl. I mean,
Snow
which
bowl,
is
yeah.
literally where the snow
Absolutely.
fills the bowl.
Yeah.
That's the other, I think, the best kept secret somewhat about Arizona is the different climates. So, you know, everyone goes to Scottsdale or Tucson or, you know, Metro Phoenix, and they go, well, it's the desert. It's hot, it's dry.
Mhm.
But literally, an hour, it changes in elevation, like you said, all the way up to 10,000 feet. You can get into the pines, you can get into the snow, you can, you know, if you drive 4 hours south, you're in Mexico on the beach.
Yep. Yep.
4 hours to Vegas, 6 hours to California. I mean, this really is the hub
Yeah.
where you can.
In Arizona, actually has some wine country, believe it or not.
Yes.
Wilcox,
Pretty
Arizona,
yeah,
southeastern
pretty
part of the
fantastic.
state. And I was like, really? And I was a little skeptical about Arizona wine. I'm thinking, oh, okay, not bad, you know?
Same with that Cottonwood, Prescott area as well.
Right, yep.
Fabulous
Right up there as
wineries.
well, too, yeah.
It's just. you
Yeah,
know,
the really fun, if you guys haven't done it yet, it's in the end of March, beginning of April. They do a kayaking event where they take you to one part of the little river, you kayak down, and you end at the winery. And they have this big luncheon, music being played, have a little bit of wine, enjoy the weather. It's absolutely
So do you have to kayak back after the winery?
No,
Okay,
you get back
Turn
to
in
where
circles.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say.
you get back to where you parked. So you park,
That
they
was in itself
drive
could be
you with the
entertaining.
kayaks
Yeah.
up to a spot, and you
Right.
kayak back down.
They don't want you to kayak and drink, they want you to drive and drink. You know what I say? Well, there is unlimited things to
Yes.
do. I think that's, you know,
Yeah, there's-
people just you have to do just a little bit of searching. And that's what we found on our Moving to Arizona page. People are willing to share places to go and things to do. I mean, that's really how we all learn about everything beyond golf. I think golf is really becomes a very small part of what living in Arizona is about.
Right.
And you know, again, between the fine arts and the hiking and the food experiences here
Mhm.
and
And I-
wine country, yep.
And I found the people here are pretty friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this huge Midwest base. I mean, all three of us are from the Midwest originally, so you've got a huge Midwest base, and that Midwest culture is pretty prevalent here. So
Don't you know?
Well, you're from Minnesota, so you're from that, so it might as well just be Scandinavia.
Well, I thought we were like Canadians, but we're definitely not. Well, I don't know if anyone out there has any other misnomer questions. Please let us know. Again, you can post them on any one of our social media sites. A couple of last tidbits. I found this thing called the 18 weirdest real estate stories, and so I thought I would pick one of those. One of those that we were taught early was, for us, it was bake a pie. Bake a pie, so it felt like mom was cooking for you, and you'd smell that pie and you'd go, "This is home. Let's buy it." It says freshly baked cookies, which is another one because you can hand them out. Don't sell houses. Speaking of open houses, who can resist the alluring smell of freshly baked cookies? Turns out many home shoppers can. The old myth that is making a house on the market smell like freshly baked chocolate chip cookies will sell your house fast is wrong. According to a study done at Washington State University, well, who knows? It's Washington State University, so they don't like fun or cookies or good things, but they told me. I don't know. That was, never mind, sorry. Complex scents like potpourri and cookies can backfire for open houses. They found that shoppers spent 32% more time in stores with a simple orange scent.
Orange. We brought in the
See?
orange.
I didn't even make that up. Science said orange
Yes.
scent. Rather than the store's use of mixtures of scent made people linger and buy more. Another trick is to use the same scent at every open house so return viewers can connect with the scent. Actually makes sense. That continuity, even if you didn't use orange, and I would be crushed. But there's truth to that, continuity in everything we do. So people will associate you as an agent with a positive feeling.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. I did, you take into a lot of things of what you do with the color orange, right? You see orange in the valley, it's Long Realty Jasper Associates. You know that it's, Jay or one of our agents that's out in the valley when you see that orange.
You go deer hunting, you see orange hats, they're all.
Well, there's one thing I'll say is I obviously must be in the wrong neighborhoods because I've not gone to a house that smelled like freshly baked pie or cookies or had either of those available. So I need to
Well, so now you could be a leader.
Yeah, I'll be the biggest customer.
I think we'll wrap up a little with one quick tip on the market. There's been so much talk about the shift. The shift. It's the bubble. Oh no, it's over. We're crashing. We just were at our Pinnacle Peak Luxury Tour where the speaker was the one and only Tina Tambor with the Cromford Report, probably the #1 expert on the Phoenix Valley real estate market. And I think the thing that struck me was at the peak of before the crash in '07, the number of active listings on the market at that time was over 57,000.
Yeah.
The number of contracts at that same peak time was about 4,700.
Yeah.
I remember it being a difficult time, but I never really looked at the stats. And that's when people were buying houses with the fog the mirror loans and having their dead uncle co-sign and all that good stuff. Today, we have 17,000 active listings.
Right.
And we have about 8,000 houses under contract. So if you compare the two, there really is no correlation at all between them. And actually, we've talked about how she talked about how we're gliding into a normal market. And for us who've been doing this a long time, it's a sigh of relief. Because the one thing she pointed out was now people can actually make decisions without panic of, I better do something and think about it later. Kind of like, when they passed the Affordable Care Act back a few years ago, and they said, approve it so you can read it. That's how people were buying houses.
Mhm.
They were literally, let's buy it, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. Was it the right choice?
Yeah.
So a couple other just tidbits, and we can, if you want this, someone said, let me know your email. But it talks about the difference between the bubble and today. In the bubble, there was 100% financing, no equity from the start. We still have that with VA, but the qualifications are pretty stringent.
Yeah.
Today, you have to have some down payment. They did interest only and negative amortized loans, which were, the option arm, they called them.
Right,
So pick how deep in trouble you want to get.
right.
Today, we have none of that, principal and interest. We do have adjustable rates like they did then, but they're very few and far between. Unstable buyers. So again, it was that anyone could qualify literally for a house. Today, credit is highly important, and having income and all those checks and balances are in place. People would buy houses and they would falsify that they were owner occupied, and all they wanted to do was flip them or rent them out. And they would, we had a huge number of houses on the market for rent as well. So there's high vacancies, which led to that. New development.
There's overbuilding at that time.
Yeah,
too.
there was free money, easy money available for builders and
Yes.
speculators.
It was ripe to fail.
Yeah, it was. Wall Street invested in the mortgage industry, and that, as we know, if anyone watched the movie about that, it really was quite a bunch of, I guess, smoke and mirrors and catastrophe. Right now, Wall Street investing in flips directly. So they're not doing the mortgages, they're buying directly. So we're seeing REITs and so forth buying. So they're actually invested in our market.
Right.
I think when we look at the comparisons, this is really a healthy market. And a normal market is a healthy market.
Right.
They're predicting next year probably 8 to 9% appreciation. Well, I can remember when people would be doing cartwheels for 8 and 9% appreciation.
Oh, you mean not 30%?
No, I just don't know.
Yeah.
That's more speculative and risky when you think about it.
And the thing I want to kind of piggyback on there is that when our appreciation is going down from 25% to 8 to 10%, it's not depreciation. It's not, what it is that it's not appreciating as fast. And that's where people get hung up on that, because they're like, well, it's not 30% anymore, so it's got to be depreciating. No, the value of your home is still there. It's just not rising as fast, but you're still rising.
One other misnomer about the market is we get calls, all of us, or can you send me some pre-foreclosure listings? Because I'm going to buy foreclosures again.
Yeah.
All right,
Foreclosure wave. That never happened.
January 1996, there were 515 foreclosure notices in that month. March of 2009, there were just under 11,000 foreclosure notices.
Wow.
July of this year, there were 238.
Yeah.
And declining again. We had a little blip up from 61 in July of 21, literally no foreclosures. But today, if you think you're going to wait for foreclosures, there's been so much equity gain in the last
Right.
3-4 years. And so someone who lets their house go, there's other reasons, because financially they most likely can get out.
They could sell it. Yeah, sell it, pay off their note. If they were in forbearance, that make good on their forbearance agreement, make whole with the bank, and walk away with money.
Right.
I had a number of clients this time last year, because it was August or end of July of last year that the moratorium on foreclosures was lifted.
Yeah.
And there were people, there's going to be a wave, The media was like, it's coming, and I'm like, it's not there. It's mathematically not there. And take your emotion and what your neighbors, brothers, sisters, cousins said. It's just not mathematically there, and it never came to fruition.
Ignore the man behind the curtain, I am the great Oz.
Right?
So if you're thinking about selling, here's the top 4 markets to sell in today. Mountain Hills, Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, Cave Creek. son of a gun, where do we work?
We work in those
Oh,
areas.
I can't believe that. I didn't even make that up.
Right?
And it's in Orange, just so you know. And if you're thinking about buying, so you want to pay Monty Hall, if you know who he is. Let's make a deal. Maricopa, Queen Creek, Buckeye, and at the low end of the balance market, Gilbert.
Well, that's
Yeah.
So, which, Gilbert has been so popular and hot.
Yep.
And, is a highly desirable place to live. We actually know a few Gilbertians. Is
Yeah.
that what they are? Gilbertians?
Gilbertonians.
Gilbertonians.
I just made that up. I don't know.
Matta Gilberto. No, I don't know. So anyhow, there's places we can negotiate. And that's when they talk about we're maybe not seeing prices fall,
Right.
but we're seeing more negotiations. What was that? Taylor, he said he was reading that seller concessions, so buyer paid closing costs are up 28%.
Yep.
What does that mean? Buy the rate down. So what if it's 5? Let's do a buy down to 4, 3 3/4. I mean, there's many ways to make things affordable.
Right. And it's not always just price. It's terms.
It's terms,
It's terms.
absolutely. People forget that.
And that should be exciting for sellers, even though they might be giving up a little bit because they have to move somewhere. So knowing that there is time to be able to find a home, there's options on the market right now. It's not like it was where, well, if I sell my house, I have nowhere to go.
Right,
And,
right.
it's just an upward battle. Now there's that movement.
Breathing room for both sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as the wise Fletcher Wilcox said of the Wilcox Report, a friend of Orange, he said since 2018, the average across the valley increase in value is roughly 82%. Now that's everywhere. Some much higher, some maybe a little lower. But he said if as a seller, you had to give up 5 or 10% to capture what you gained since 2018, is that really bad? So now you
No.
make 75% on your money?
Yeah.
I mean, we all lost perspective, and even agents, because we were in this vertical mode, and now when it stops, we exhale, got Tom giggling in the background, and we can actually do our job, which is counsel you, the buying public. Vote for me on April 7th. No. Anyhow, well, I think, you got anything else?
No.
No, I think it was good.
Should we have these people back again? Vote often.
Oh my gosh,
no.
I didn't know we were all of a sudden on.
Thank you again for watching The Good, the Bad, and the Orange.